Man, I am not always in the mood to clean my house. Do you clean yours regularly?
I know that you're not always in the mood to clean your house, but yeah, no, I like to clean mine, especially if I'm having a bad day. It's kind of like a stress reliever for me.
Really? I wish I felt that way about it. I mean, though I do feel better when my surrounding environment is clean.
Yeah. I mean, there's a link though between the physical space and your mental space, right?
I mean, yeah, I've heard about it, but I really haven't put that much thought into it.
Sounds like we got a lot to discuss in this episode then.
Hello and welcome to Adulthood is a Project, the show where two sisters discuss the lessons learned and growth earned through the realities of life. I'm Charlie, and you all know my sister Casey, and we're your hosts.
Spring is in the air, and to celebrate a bit in this episode, we will be discussing mental and physical space and how they connect. We will also discuss the ins and outs of cleaning your home or car and how it can affect your mental state. Let's get started.
Yes, all right. I got to get quicker on that button.
I love that you love that new toy.
I know, and every time I'm like, oh yeah, I want to applaud our episode starting. Listeners, we hope you're loving it too. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, so mental and physical space and how they can connect. Boy, I think our physical space can honestly be a real demonstration of how we're feeling mentally.
Yes. I absolutely agree. There was a time in my life where I was depressed. And I don't mean I was just sad. I was depressed. And
Thanks for using
it
that term correctly.
it being like that, I'm telling you, I mean, there would be dirty dishes in the sink, dirty clothes, just, I didn't care if the kids were picking up their toys. The house would look gross. And yeah, it was definitely a reflection of how I was feeling, for sure.
That and it's funny. I know we're kind of prepping for this episode, and unintentionally, I just had a little piece of this happen to me. I've been a little cluttered in my mind recently. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I had come home. I was like, I've got to clean my bedroom. It was just getting too much, and sure enough, as soon as I got it reorganized, so it was more decluttering today. It wasn't like gross, dirty like dishes and stuff, but just reorganizing it a little bit and decluttering. I could say within 5 minutes I felt better. I was like, oh, that just took a weight off my shoulders, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So again, spring is in the air, right? And so
Oh, I know.
sounds like I got allergies now. But
Well, spring is in the air.
during, so I get spring break, and so I have a week off of work. And I do
Mm.
always make sure that during that week, I, now obviously I live in a travel trailer, so it doesn't get super dirty and super cluttery because there's not enough space for that kind of nonsense in here. Thank God. But I do have to come in and just reorganize my little areas next to my bed and reorganize my clothes. I will clean out and say, oh, I haven't wore this in forever, so I'm taking it out. Because number one, I don't have a ton of closet space anyways. But number two, it helps me to feel so much better. And because I know that after spring break is a hot mess. It's such a push at school, and it's going to take all the mental energy I have. And if I don't have a clear space around me, it's going to really affect me in my head and in my attitude and everything. So,
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah, I could see that. And um, yeah, so you're like you're prepping for just yourself, but also prepping for a future part of you that's gonna have to come home after some
yes.
long days at work. And um, excuse me, I was, when you said earlier, like when you were in a down mood and stuff, it's interesting because we do know now, right, with our knowledge that we know that, oh, if you have a clean space, it can make you feel better. And this, but when I'm not in a good mood, I don't want to clean. I find when I'm in a really good mood. So when we're talking about spring coming and stuff, like the sun is finally out and shining a lot. I mean, I live in Arizona. The sun's out 90% of the time, but it's warmer. There's not quite so many clouds in the sky, stuff like that. And I feel it and it puts me in a super good mood, which then puts me in another great mood. And I'm like, I'm going to start cleaning because I want to open my windows and let the fresh air in and, get, I don't know, the winter germs out of here.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
like to clean when I'm in a good mood too. And then it helps alleviate me getting into a bad mood because my space is clean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like I said,
But
I know when I was going through that depressed phase and just my house was, ugh. I do remember at one point just finally getting to the point where I was like, I have to clean. I can't keep going like this. And just doing those little things where I was like, okay, I did the dishes. And once I got started with just the little things, it helped me not only mentally, but also obviously like physically, it was looking better in the house. But
right. It and
just
it's crazy to think how you don't necessarily put those two together, but like you said, the minute you started cleaning, like, okay, I do actually feel better.
right. Yeah.
And
Sorry.
but there's
Sorry.
there's such a link between clutter and disorganization, and it can cause feelings of stress, anxiety, overwhelmment.
Huh.
And I think that's what I'd been feeling this past, week was some overwhelmment with stuff, which was like, something needs to change. And so when, like I said, I got a little new setup anyway that I was working on that I wanted to rearrange some space and make room for, which led to some of that decluttering. And like I said, within 10 minutes of doing it, I felt better. I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. I do. I always, honestly, if I go to somebody's house or anything, I totally take a mental note of their physical space. And it's not because I'm judging, right? I'm not judging like, oh my God, their house is so dirty or whatever.
What's that new phrase? We listen and don't judge. You're like, I look and don't judge.
Oh my gosh. Um, but I I do take a look around just because if I can take that look around and be aware, I automatically already know like how's this person really feeling, right? I already really know because I can see their physical space.
Right.
So I'm already pretty aware. Like if I show up to your house and you just have junk all over the table and it's just a hot mess in there, I'm like, oh, okay. So you ain't
Yeah.
doing so
Okay. You
good
know
right
what? I cannot say I've ever done that.
now. I do.
However, listening to you say this right now, I am like, oh, yes. I'm thinking of a few places I've been in people's homes where I'm like, holy shit. And I'll leave there thinking, how do you live in that? Like, I'm overwhelmed walking in the door. I can't imagine how you walk into this every day and don't feel that way. But I never put that connection together until you were just saying this right now. Like, gosh, those people probably are like beyond stressed out for multiple reasons, obviously, but that shows it in their physical faces. So yeah, or their cars. Oh, you ever get in someone's car that's like a shit show?
I get in my own car every day. Yeah.
No, you don't keep a very clean
I don't.
car. Like you don't keep a clean car. Oh, mine has stuff in it, but I mean, as the season's changing, like probably I got another probably a couple weeks before I'm pulling hoodies out because I now keep a couple of extra hoodies in the car. It's gonna get cold, but I don't keep much of anything there. I keep a change of shoes in my car and a
Yeah.
hoodie, and usually that's it. Everything there is no trash in there. I mean, obviously napkins to blow my nose, stuff like that, but like there's nothing else in there that is not supposed to be in that car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
There's,
you do keep.
it's not
I'm
horrible.
worried
I
about
mean,
you, sister. Do you need to talk?
it's not horrible. It's just I do have a tendency to like I eat or drink in my car or something. The trash does tend to stay there until I go to the get gas. And when I go get gas, I empty all the trash out. But also like my apron for work is in there. And what's funny is I eat a bowl of oatmeal in my car on my way to work every morning. And then when I get to work, I just put the bowl and spoon on the floor. Obviously, I bring it in every day. I
Oh,
do. But if you get in
I,
my car, the other day I had to pick up Sonny Boy after work, and I had my bowl and spoon on the floor. I had a change of shoes over there. I had a whole trash bag because I've been. I was like, I'm gonna keep all my trash in this trash bag. That way, when I go get gas, I just have to take the trash bag out.
oh my god. Keeping a trash bag in my car, unless I am on an actual road trip, seems like absolute ridiculous to me. Like, how much trash could you possibly accumulate in a day? Oh
Do
my
you
god.
stop
You know,
and take trash out of your car every day?
I don't have trash in my car.
I do.
I don't even understand the concept of why you would get trash in your car. Like I have my water cup that goes everywhere with me. If I happen to say, which I do not know how you're eating a bowl of oatmeal on your way to work, but okay. If
I
I were to
tried
do
with
that, because I mean, I've maybe done it once or twice, but okay, I kind of get it. Like, if I were to do that, like, no one drive behind Casey in traffic or in front of her. In fact, just do not be on the roads in Tulsa. At what time do you go to work? 6 a.m. Got a mental head case over here driving around. Um, like if I were to say I were to eat that, I would immediately take it inside when I got to work and wash it, and then I would take it home with me at the end of the day and bring it inside and put it away.
I bring it home and wash it.
I just don't understand. Like, yeah, it would never even stay in my car. I don't know. And then if I were to eat, like, say, a burrito, breakfast burrito, I would take the trash inside as soon as I got out of the car.
Oh, I just throw it on the floorboard. Like, I'll catch it later.
Check you later.
Well, I don't throw it out the
Okay,
window. At least I'm
well,
not littering.
okay, well, that's good. Like, why the hell would you throw it out the window?
That's what I'm saying. I don't. I throw it on the floorboard and I get it out at the trash can.
I guess. Good job. Way to not litter. Now I'm concerned because now as we're discussing your mental space and our physical space, and you're like, your trailer is clean, you keep it organized, this and that, and your car's not. What does that say about you? You're all over the place up in here.
I'm a total head case. I will say also during spring break, I will clean my car. I will like do the whole like clean it, like detail clean it, make it look all nice, smell good, all that jazz. I will.
Okay, you get a little armor, all the whole 9 yards. I got you. I don't do that often in my car. I just keep it. I just don't keep trash.
I usually
Um, I will.
I do the whole 9 yards at least twice a year. Once on spring break and once on fall break. That's my one rule.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? You got a plan in place at least. I like that.
A
Keep your keep your mental health slightly sane throughout the year.
little bit there.
But yeah, as you were saying that, and I thought about that, it does make sense though, because I know I feel it for myself, right? And so there was a article on Headspace.com,
Mm-hmm.
and according to this study that was conducted by uh, the Princeton Neuroscience Institute, having multiple visual stimuli present within range of one's view will result in those stimuli competing for neural representation. So I know, I'm like, what? I had to reread that twice. Luckily, I found layman's terms, guys. So in layman's terms, the more clutter that you see, the more easily that you get distracted because your
Squirrel.
brain literally doesn't know what to choose to focus on. Yeah, squirrel, squirrel, because it's too much and your brain doesn't know what to focus on. I was like basically kind of pointing out that there wasn't even a study done on this. Like it's legit. It's not just us saying, "Oh, it makes me feel good," because it does. There's a
Right.
study done on it. So, there's some science behind that, and that seeing it that put that way as well made sense. I'm like, oh yeah, clutter drives me insane, man.
Yeah,
And
I don't like clutter for sure.
no, a couple things on my end was one is when I really started noticing it was when I was getting ready to do my house remodel project that I had to move everything. And I mean, things had to come off the wall, things had to come out of closets, everything had to move for everything that was
Mm.
getting done. So I had to find new places to put them that were also temporary places. But then once everything was complete, I had to find new places, new homes for those items, permanent homes. And that made me really clean out a lot of stuff. And since then, that's been, I think I'm on 3 years. 90% of my stuff has not gone back on my walls. Even just stuff on my walls was seeming to be clutter at that point. Just little decorative signs and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Little live,
Yeah.
laugh,
And then
love,
I had, yeah.
outdated.
Yeah. In this house, we do. No, yeah. Yeah, those types of things. I did not need those anymore. I did see one a while back that said this house runs on laughter and vodka. I'm like, I could use that sign. That would fly for me. But I had been personally just feeling, this was barely maybe a couple months ago, that I was kind of feeling a little stuck and I was chatting with a friend and I hadn't felt like crazy stuck, just something wasn't moving, some energy wasn't moving around me, stuff like that. And she had mentioned, she goes, during all your cleaning and everything you did, I had 2 closets in my house I'd never touched. And I was like, oh, God, now that you mention that, I didn't touch those. So she kindly, because she's good at organizing and that is not a strong suit of mine, helped me and we tackled them and we rearranged my hall closet and then my spare closet. And in doing that, I felt like it also cleared up energy in my house. And listeners, I know not everyone's into energy and stuff like that. I am. And I could just feel energy could flow again. Moving those items that, gosh, that hall closet, half that stuff had probably been sitting there for 10 years and hadn't been moved.
Yeah.
So, hello?
What? I don't-
I was like, are you, are you having this conversation with me?
I was. I didn't know there was more to your fucking story. Like you're like, it hadn't been moved in 10 years. And like what, you're waiting for some big fucking reaction from me? I don't know. Didn't I'm sorry, I didn't realize the story was over at that point.
The
So
story was over. Okay, that was the end of my story. I had free flowing energy in my house again.
free flowing energy. Woo! I apologize.
After 10 years.
So Big J moved right before Christmas. And when he moved into the new apartment, one of his big things was he wants some new stuff and he wants to be organized, and which he's really organized anyways. But certain things. And so this past week he got a closet organizer, like a whole organizing system, right?
Well, like
And
the
when I tell you
fancy
this,
ones.
yeah. Uh, but when I tell you this
Ooh.
man has a ridiculous amount of clothes, and him and I have had this discussion 100 times, where it's like, why do you have all these clothes? You don't even wear them. And so, but with his whole point was, he's like, I'm gonna get this organizer, this organized system, and then it forces him to get rid of some of those clothes that he just needs to get rid of. So
Yeah.
he's clearing out his space also.
Oh, good
And
for him. Hey, it's gonna
yeah,
make him feel better mentally.
sure will.
Yeah.
And then he's still stuck with this head case.
Hey, he'll never know unless he listens to this episode. It's fine.
So 5 years from now, he might figure it out.
Right. He'll be like, oh my gosh, he tried to warn me and I didn't listen.
Oh man. Yeah, he's definitely one of the cleanest people I know. And of course over the past week, with not only like he's got this closet organizer, but a few other new things have come in, and so he's been setting different things up, and his apartment was looking like a hot mess with just boxes everywhere and this and that. And
Oh yeah.
he was going crazy. He was. It all finally got cleaned up. And so he was very
You know,
much in a much better mood today.
good. You're like, oh, good. Your face is clean. You're mentally better. Like, um, I was just when you said he's normally a super clean person, I was, there is something I suppose to be said for that too, because there are some people who are like clean freaks to the point of
Yeah.
anxiety. So I
Yes.
guess didn't do any research on this side of things because it's just popping up in my head. But I'm like, I wonder if there's a thing for being too clean.
There is. So, what's funny is, and you'll remember, um, when the kids were little,
You're
like babies.
bleaching.
Yeah. My, I, my absolute cleanliness. And
Yeah, everything had to get bleached all the time.
all the time. And I'm trying to remember. I think by the time you were there, I wasn't as anal, but it was like, no, you're going to bleach your shoes before you walk in here, or you're not going to walk in your shoes.
Okay, you didn't make me do that, thank God. Okay.
So I had lightened up a little bit at that point because I was already bleaching the floors every week, at least once a week.
Right, yeah, you were in a huge cleaning, yeah, like big time.
Yes. And so what is so funny is I've talked to other people about how I went through this anxiety phase when the kids were first born and when they were babies, and I was just, oh my gosh, like it has to be so. And this one girl said, oh, so you had a little postpartum depression? And I said, no.
What?
And she's like, yeah. She's like, well, what do you mean no? I'm like, well, I wasn't depressed. And she's like, you do understand that's one of the big signs, right? Like the anxiety of, I was like, I honestly didn't. And so in having that conversation with her, I started talking to her about some other things that I did. Like, I was a total psycho when my kids were babies. And listen,
I
God
mean,
bless
yeah, but
Jaybird. I like God bless Jaybird because he would just go along with my randomness. Because I was very much, I remember saying, listen, there's 6 different ways you can get to our house. And so every time you have the kids with you, if you leave one way, you have to come back a different way. And then you have to take a different way the next time you leave with the kids. I was a freak show
oh, okay,
because I was
yeah,
so
dude,
freaking,
dang.
listen, I knew somebody was going to kidnap these kids. I just knew it. But you know what? God bless him. He would go
Trust me,
along with it.
they would have brought them back really fast. Especially the flower child. All she did was cry.
Oh my gosh. But he would go along with it. He's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, Casey, yes. I'm going to take Route 1 out. I will Route 3 back. I'm like, okay, but then tomorrow we have to Route 4 out, Route 5 back.
I bet his tweaking ass was like, she finally gets it.
I know, right? But listen, all that stuff that was happening was a sign of postpartum depression, and nobody told me that.
I would never, ever have known that.
Clearly I didn't.
Not that I know much of the signs of postpartum depression by any means, but that would not have even struck me as a sign.
I'm telling you, I didn't find this out till like 15, 16 years later. And it was in this casual conversation where I'm just like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. She's like, so you had some postpartum depression? I was like, no, I wasn't depressed. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, if you have postpartum depression, you're angry at your kid, or you're depressed and you're sad and you don't want to take care of your baby. Like, that wasn't me. No, I was a psychopath.
Yeah. Ooh.
But so it goes back to that. Yes, all that cleaning and everything, it goes into that. I had such a high anxiety that something horrid was going to happen to these children if I didn't bleach the entire house once a week.
So it's interesting to think about those two opposites, right? Because keeping a clean and clutter-free space would normally keep you out of a depression or help with that. But also at the same time, going too far could be a sign of anxiety and depression.
Yes.
All right, you heard it here first, listeners. If you need a reason not to dust this week, we just gave it to you.
We don't want you to have anxiety about it.
Yeah, we don't want you depressed, but we also don't want you too far into anxiety. So just keep your house at a minimum clean.
That's right. Oh my gosh. You know, though, we talk about your physical space like affecting your mental state. You got to also think about the sensory, right? So like colors in your mental space or in your physical space, and textures and smells. So you know how people use essential oils, right? To have like certain smells going. All that can affect it too.
Yeah, that could, and that's true about I think about the colors for like that I've chosen, throughout the houses I keep. Like I just repainted my spare bedroom I'm working on, and I tell you, it's not even all put together. And every time I walk in there, it's so much more calming to me than it used to be. And I, loved it before, but now with that new color in there, it just brings a sense of calm. And I'm like, I like this. And I'm a dork, man, but every day, I literally have to walk by it every single day to get to my car. And I just kind of like either on my way out, it's usually on my way in for the day, because in the morning it's just dark and I'm just, whatever. I'm not a morning person. So it's usually on my way home. When I get home and I'm walking past, I can do a little glance over there and smile. I'm like, oh, that's such a nice color in that room. So yeah, I totally see that. Like the colors, or if you have like a super soft pillow on your couch. Yes. The things we can do to make our space so much more inviting for us, not only physically, but mentally.
Mentally, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know you won't necessarily understand, but when I start talking to you about this, you're going to catch it and you'll be like, oh, it makes sense. And I never thought about it really before becoming a teacher, but the classroom environment is so important. And by that, I mean just the way the environment is arranged, the way the furniture is arranged, and how it sits low enough to where things are in kids' reach.
Oh.
I mean, think about how frustrating it would be to need a pair of scissors, but they're all the way up here and you can't reach them, but you need to get a task done. And so, obviously, classrooms are arranged so that things like that are available to the kids that they need, or else how they
Smart.
would be so frustrated if, I mean, I'd
Do
say
they teach?
scissors.
I'm not even being a smartass. Do they teach you that in school, or you just like
I've
you
taken a
kind of
whole
put it
class on
together?
it, yes. There's a whole class for it.
Oh, that's smart. Because yeah, it would if you're like you said, you need to get a task done. You can't even reach your scissors. We'll say
Yeah.
then the rest of your day is so frustrating because that one thing
Yeah. Well, and
is
we
lead to
also talk about
multiple stuff.
how teaching kids to clean, like you want to keep your classroom clean, right? Well, it's not just your classroom, it's the kids' classroom too, and you want them to be able to clean. So one of the best things to do for kids is to keep a picture, a visual picture of what it looks like when the area is clean, and then also have things labeled, right? So if you have blocks, there's a drawer labeled blocks with a picture of blocks on it. So they know where the blocks go, and it's right there in their, and it's easier for them. They understand. And it makes it an
Dude, you
easier.
can you come do that for my pantry? The picture and everything like that would really help me.
it, listen, those visual cues are big.
Yeah, I am not the best. Like, and I shouldn't keep saying it or affirmations, but I, from that other episode. But I'm just like, organizing is not my strongest suit. I mean, it is for me. Like in my head, if you were to say, "Hey, where's this at?" I'm like, "Listen, open that drawer up, pull about a third of the papers up. Just kind of guess, but you get about a third of the papers up. Look under there. You're going to see one little square of paper. On that one little square of paper is going to be the note you need." They're like, "What?" Never mind, I'll just go get it and I'm back in a minute. I'm like, boom, there. How did you find that one little square in that big stack of paper? I knew exactly how far down. I don't know. Like it was organized for me, right? So,
But yeah,
but
I mean, it is. It's number one, it is an interesting class to go through, like your classroom environment. But also it's just things where you're like, it makes so much sense and duh, but you wouldn't think about it if you're not
right,
sitting there dealing with it, right? And so,
like yeah, or hearing about it.
yeah, you could
Like,
totally
oh
F a
yeah,
kid's day up if
I,
their classroom environment's a hot mess. Gonna
right.
have to,
Then their learning is going to get totally messed up because they're not even concentrating on learning because the whole environment's shit or something. I don't know.
and you can't just be like, go clean. And they're like,
Right? Yeah,
well,
because like, oh, what's that mean?
they're like, okay, so I'll throw these blocks under this shelf. That looks right. No, man, it's not how I
Yeah.
want it. But here's your
I
visual cue.
I don't think about it much with kids for sure, but like I said, for myself, I have been grateful because I've had two friends who have helped me with my organization skills in this house. Because I'm like, I don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Oh, the flower
so
child,
those
thankfully,
kids,
is
some
like,
of those kids might have been able to figure it out, but not all of them. So it's a good thing you put visuals up for them.
this. They need it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listeners, what is your take? Do you feel better mentally when your physical space is clean? Drop us a comment and let us know. Let us know we're not alone on that one,
Yeah.
right? All right. Well, I would say our lesson learned and growth earned on this. A clean environment can help reduce unnecessary stress, and I think we could all go for that in our lives. So why not jump into your spring cleaning this year with a renewed sense of purpose? Or just break out the bottle of wine and get a fun drinking clean in there if you prefer. Either way, you'll end up with a cleaner surrounding and a better mood.
In our next episode, with tax day coming up, we're going to be talking about finances. You're going to get our hot take on it. Thanks for listening. Until next time, go out there and be your favorite self.
All right. And if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss in a future episode, drop us a comment. And make sure you're liking and subscribing on your favorite listening platforms so you're catching all our future episodes.